move
Yeah, no worries.
a little bit. It's gonna be better. Up.
Making sure you're drinking lots of water.
Yeah, I've been training this morning, so I have to be careful now.
What's this morning's training session been?
Oh, it was only a 2-hour easy ride, but
A 2-hour easy ride. Nice, cool.
yeah.
So Fredrik, thanks so much for joining me. I really want to kind of dive into initially just kind of talking about your career and how you got started in Ironman. Was it like a normal, traditional kind of build up towards the Iron distance, or was it kind of, how did it happen?
Well, it's kind of a traditional, but let's say I'm in triathlon since 1997. That's quite a long time. And in the beginning, of course, I was doing sprint races as a junior. Then later on, I was doing Olympic distance. Did a couple of years on the World Cup circuit. Tried to qualify for the Olympics as well in 2004, but that didn't work. And then by the end of 2006, I decided to move to half distance. So 2007 was quite a successful year for me on the half distance with a European title and a couple of good results on the half distance. And then in fact, 2008 was the first time I tried a full Ironman in New Zealand, where I got second. So from then on, I'm on the Ironman distance, and I combine with half distance and a couple of Olympic distances as well. But let's say that my results in the long distance from 2008 on were a lot better than the ones I had on the shorter distance.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that's due to kind of your mental ability to like really love the painful process?
I think it's something with your own abilities that you only discover when you get older. It's hard to be really good at long distance when you're only 18 or 20. You have to try it, and I waited till I was 28, so I discovered it. I think at the right age that long distance was something that suited me a lot more than a shorter distance.
Why do you think that is actually then? So you mentioned then that it's difficult to get into long distance as a kind of younger person. Is it to do with your body makeup, how you're kind of dealing with stuff?
I think so because the volume of training, you cannot do it at the age of 20, and it's something you build up year after year. So of course, when you're 20, you can do an Ironman, and you can, of course, you can do it pretty good. But there's nobody that I know that is really at the highest level at the age of 20. You need a couple of
100%
to get into it. And next to the physical aspect, it's also a mental thing. Try to get everything correct in terms of nutrition, in terms of mental game, physical ability. So it's quite a big puzzle to get everything together.
Yeah. So I'm 24 and just doing my first one now. And I tell you what, the training has been interesting. I'm up to about 12 hours a week. So as an amateur, for me, that's quite a lot of a jump into it. And it's definitely taking a toll on the whole body and mental kind of build up, but absolutely. Hopefully the ability to do more and get faster will come with as age progresses.
Of course, and you will learn from every year or every distance you prepare for, every race you prepare for. You will learn things, and you will take it for the next one. So that's how it works for everyone.
Perfect. So you first won Ironman France in 2011.
Yeah,
is that correct? So that first race you did France and you won it. Was that your first win?
That was my first win at a full Ironman. Yes, the year before I became second in France, and my first Ironman in New Zealand I was second as well. So I was a couple of times close, but I never won one before 2011.
And so that day, did everything kind of just come together? Was it the course? Was it your training? What made kind of Ironman France that first time work so well?
It's difficult to say, but let's say that first of all, I knew that Ironman France from the year before was a course that suited me really well. And then when you get second the year before, I think you can say you can believe you'll be able to win. If you become 15th or 25th or something, it's hard to believe that you will win it, but I think the belief was there. I had the knowledge and the experience from the race from the year before. So I think mentally, physically, that was the year I was ready to win one. So
and did you do much training in Nice prior?
Well, since I'm doing triathlons for a long time, and I'm a Belgian, France is not that far. I was training a couple of times in that region, so I know the roads quite well. But it's not that I train there a lot. It's maybe twice a year or something. I spend 1 or 2 weeks over there.
And so it was just interesting you said about the kind of mental, like, you can go that an extra piece, like, you can kind of gain. I watched an interview you did with Bob in Kona, I think in 2015, and you were talking about like the Kona prior, just kind of doing it and kind of finishing a couple places behind that first place. It kind of gave you that mental awareness that you knew you could do it.
Yeah,
I think that's a powerful asset to have, that kind of.
I think so, and I believe that at every level that's something you need. So same for you. If you will do it right now, or you're preparing for a race, you have a certain result, and then from that on you can build up, and you can think about a time that is a little bit faster, or a place that is a little bit higher than the one you did. But it's hard to say. In my opinion, and in my case. I want to win that race, and you need some, or I need some proof, some mental proof that I can do it. So the example from Kona was that the year before I was third, and my best result before I got third was only 14th. So if you finish 14th, it's hard to say, one day I will win it. But if you become third, then you can start really to believe that one day you can win it.
Absolutely. That was kind of where I was trying to take that is, if you got anything that you would suggest for age groupers. Obviously we can't go out and really do races as much as you guys, but in terms of, visualization, the mental piece, that is going to be, as you get to sort of the 8th and 9th hour, that's probably going to be your main fuel source. So it's, is there anything that you could kind of suggest that we do in order to get our train our brains a little bit?
What I do a lot is, like, and most of the age groupers do as well, or you write it down, or you keep it somewhere on a training platform that is having an overview of all the training you did. Of course, everyone has a couple of key sessions, and the week before the race, I always look back at the months and the weeks from the build-up, and then I try to see, like, oh, I was able to do that, oh, I was able to do that. So that's kind of a confidence boost. That's kind of something that makes you aware of the fact that you will be able to chase your goal. So if you see, like, oh yeah, 8 weeks ago I did that, and then 6 weeks ago I was able to do that session, and some people forget about it and they only think about the feeling of the last sessions.
Yeah,
and it's always good to look back, and I'm old school. I write everything down in an agenda, and then I just go back and see, like, oh yeah, I did that and I did that. So that's something that helps me to be mentally stronger. Yeah,
I think that's an important feeling. I think that the whole idea of feeling ready, I think that when I'm talking to a lot of people, I know it's probably, lesser professionals. For you guys, it's probably more like, am I in the best shape absolutely possible? But when I speak to all the people in my coaching group and online, it's like, how do I know if I'm ready? Like, that's the feeling I want, is I want to know I'm stood, with my wetsuit ready.
True.
Am I ready?
And everyone at our level and at the level of the age groupers, everybody is doubting, especially the last week and the last couple of days. They are like, oh no, there's a kind of doubt that comes up, and that's natural. So that's something you can use to block that.
So make sure you're writing down all your stuff, and you can go back and flick through just to kind of calm your mind.
That's something I do, and it works for me. Yeah.
That you've done the work and you've put it in, you're ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. So and as a quick one then, so just before we get onto actually the France piece, obviously this last year in Kona, which happened to a couple people actually. I think looking at it, it was the athletes that are used to doing the really hard climbs, the courses. An relatively easy day comes along in Kona, and we get some kind of, people aren't happy with their results.
Yeah.
How do you kind of how are you bouncing back from that and saying, I'm ready to go and, smash Kona again?
I think that's probably something that comes with years of experience. If you only look back at a couple of years of your career and then you have a really bad result or something that you didn't expect, then of course it has a bigger impact than, like for me, it's 15, 20 years I'm racing at the highest level. And I'm always like, you have to look back at your whole career. And then if a couple of races don't go as you expect, or you don't have the result you were working for, okay, that's part of it. So and I think for age groupers it's the same thing. It's when you're doing it for a couple of years, you will experience that some of your races will be really good, and then some of the races through circumstances will not work. So I think always look at the bigger picture, and that's how it works, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of like the your kind of general racing process is probably like the key training session process. Like if they have a really bad training session and that knocks confidence, is actually saying, let's just look at the bigger picture here and look at what we're doing.
True. Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. So let's jump on to France then, shall we? So are you racing there this year?
Obviously. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Defend the title 3rd time in a row, hopefully.
So I won it in 11, 12, 13. That was 3 times in a row, and now I won it in 17 and 18. So we'll try to make it 6.
I'm sure. So obviously, you being there and ruling the Alps a little bit with the this race, what makes it so special? Why do you love it so much and keep wanting to go back?
Well, first of all, it's a beautiful one. It's swimming in the Mediterranean, then in the Alps, and then run on the promenade. So it's a really beautiful race. But of course, on race day, it doesn't really count if it's beautiful, yes or no. Like I said in the beginning of this interview, it's a course that really suits me, and it's an honest course. So we have a flat section in the beginning and a flat section in the end on the bike. But then the rest of it is really even if people sitting too close on your wheel, it's honest, it's up, down, it's technical. So I don't like races on big highways with groups. When you go to Nice, it's like when you look at the Tour de France, it's like a stage in the Alps, and everybody has to push the pedal. So and it doesn't really matter if you're too close, yes or no. It's everyone, it's man against man.
It looks it. I mean, I'm looking forward to think this year it dropped. I think they're talking about sort of 2,000 meters plus climbing, and it looks
well, that's not let's say exceptional, but the other thing is you have like 60 kilometer or 70 kilometer in total in the course that is really going 4%, 5%, 6% uphill. So it's nothing really steep, but it's always
consistent.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Consistent pain.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and some recovery on the downhill.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so the swim. I'm going to bring up the swim course. Actually, I know that they sent out. Let me just grab it. Just bring it over here and share my screen. 2 ticks. I think we can see it.
Yeah.
So before we get onto the actual swim piece then, so just as like a kind of preparational, the kickoff to Ironman France, obviously you guys go off first, then it's the age groupers. Anything that kind of springs to mind that you could kind of give your wisdom on when it comes to this swim start?
Yeah, there's like in every Ironman, there's boxes now with there's a wave start. So you have to choose your the box you want to be in with the time you expect to swim, and that's all the lineup you see on the beach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And the other thing is, for people that did not race in France yet, let's say the last half an hour before the race, the atmosphere is amazing. There's plenty of music, hard music, with a DJ and really pumping the people up before the start. So it's a great atmosphere, even the last 30 minutes before the start. So, and then, yeah, the course is pretty easy. Mentally, I can say that the first stretch till the first red buoy is kind of, or it feels long, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say once you hit the first buoy and go to the right, the first red buoy and go to the right, then yeah, mentally things get easier because it's a shorter stretch. Then you swim back to the beach, and when you make the turn to go to the second part of the swim, it's really close to the beach. The first couple of years I did it, we had to come out of the water and did like an Australian exit, but that they skipped that. So it's better now. You just stay in the water, and then expect the second loop. It looks quite shorter, but in terms of feeling, it's still not like it's only a couple of minutes more to swim. No, it's still, let's say, 20 minutes more to swim. So it's not that short.
Well, it's 1.4K is by the looks.
Yeah. So you see, like 20 minutes something, or depending on your level, of course, but it's not like you expect it to be like 5 or 10 minutes. No, it's a lot longer.
So what would you expect for yourself anyway to kind of swim this loop in?
I think I always did it you mean in terms of time?
Yeah, time, yeah.
I always did it in between 48 and 50, so I think the distance is exact, and I would say it's not the hardest swim, it's in the sea, so you have good floating. There's no waves because it's early in the morning, so it's kind of an easier swim.
Yeah. And so if you got any kind of so you said it's relatively easy because it's early in the morning, so there's not too much of a chop as of yet. Have you ever had any kind of weather issues with this swim?
I think I took part 7 times now. No, never.
Nice.
No.
I mean, not that you always want it easy, but I guess it would be nice to have a good start.
Yeah, a good start is important, of course. The only thing I can say for people who expect it to be a sand beach, it's a beach with stones, so it can be a little bit painful at your feet, especially the day before or 2 days before when you try it. But once you're in the race, you don't really feel the stones on, especially when you come out.
Yeah, you got a kind of adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
2 pieces there, Fred. So the one bit was trying it a few days before. Is that something that you'd recommend?
The day before or 2 days before you can jump in the water. It's that's something I would recommend, just to mentally, the feeling, everything. It's not bad to go in the water there 1 or 2 days before the race.
And that kind of swim. So would you do that for time, or would you do that kind of just as a nice, easy taste the course?
Yeah, nice, easy taste the course. And what I always do is just the second part of the loop, like 1,000 meter or 1,500 meter the day before. It's more than enough. You don't have to do the whole course, of course.
Okay, interesting. So then the second piece. So obviously you said 48 to 50 minutes. So obviously that's fast. Most age groupers kind of will come in between the 60 and 80 minute mark. That's kind of the target. I mean, I think the average is probably more towards the 80 minute. With regards to how people can kind of get some time off of their swim, where have you seen the most gains in terms of style of training? Has it been strength training? Has it been endurance training? Has it been speed work? Where have you seen like the biggest gains? Obviously, we're not too far away now, so we don't have too much time. But
yeah, I think a little bit of everything. But the most important in triathlon is strength and endurance, of course. So I would concentrate a little bit on that, and then especially for the France course, make sure that you have your navigation, or that you know where you're going to, because I see that a lot of people sometimes get a little bit lost or swim too much distance. So it's important to also know that you're swimming on the right buoys, and that you navigate quite good.
Perfect. So then as we come out of the water here, obviously there's a few rocks to get up. I've seen a few people fall over there.
Yeah.
So you kind of run up towards, do you go up through the finish line here and then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you go under the Ironman arrow, and then you go into transition. You'll be able to pick up your bag, go in a tent if you want, yes or no. And then in fact you continue, and the orange you see there is kind of a long bike park, because there's only let's say 40 bikes in one row, and then it's on to the next row. So I guess it's like a 400-meter long bike park.
Well, there's 2,000 odd bikes in there.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. So obviously then we get out on the bike. So if we jump on, let me see if I can get the bike course here, because this is kind of probably the most crunchy piece, to be honest with you. Open runner. Cool. I think it's quite zoomed out, but so start of this bike then. So as you get on the bike, you're then obviously you're traveling through Nice before you kind of turn off up into the countryside. What is the start like, and how should people kind of prepare themselves, pace and kind of power wise for this race? Because again, I think people will, the adrenaline may kick in and they may want to go too fast too early.
Yeah.
What kind of would you suggest?
Well, if you look at the map, the first part along the coast is all flat. So you go out, and it's like until you hit that point where you go to the right, it's totally flat. It's somewhere around 8 or 9 kilometers. Then you turn right, and when you turn after you turned right, it's still, most of it is flat. It's a little bit up and down, but nothing really special until you hit the, I have a look, is it mentioned 20 kilometers there where you go to the left?
Yeah, up to the top here. Yeah. It's like a turning.
Yeah. And there is where the race really starts, because these 20 kilometers is all flat and there's nothing really hard about it. The only thing is, of course, if you ride too hard from the beginning, then you will pay for it later on the day. So it's kind of finding your rhythm, finding your legs, and don't push too hard in those first 20 kilometers.
Okay, and then obviously it gets quite technical from there. So the technical piece, obviously, it coming down is going to be technical. Is there anything people should prepare for? Is there anything that kind of stands out on the course that people need to be aware of, that they can kind of look for and train for? Yeah, of course, there's plenty of things. The only thing I wanted to tell you is when you turn left there at that 20 kilometer mark point, the thing is that's the steepest climb of the whole course. It's only 800 meters long, but you have a 14% grade, I think. So that's really steep. And once you get up there, then in fact it's another climb, but it's 4 or 5%. There's nothing really special about it. So so that first part, or that first climb, is really important to know. That is the steepest one. And then once you get over that, it's more of a 4 or 5% climb towards Gatiere. Okay. And then obviously, so was it last year that Camworth joined the group with you guys? Yeah,
exactly. Well, he joined. No, he just went over us. So so was nothing. He didn't stay with us at all.
He was off, kind of like a he's an interesting bike. I've been following him for a while. How have you found that some of the stronger bikers are coming over to Nice to give it a challenge?
Yeah, because for them it's the same thing as I told you in the beginning. It's an honest course, so they want to show how strong they are on the bike, and this course is really a course where you can show how strong you are. It's different than a total flat or a bike course just on a big road. So I think for Cameron, as a former cyclist, this is really something he loves.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. So kind of with this bike, so obviously it's 180 kilometers, or by the looks of things, just a little bit under.
It's 174.
174. Okay. So as we kind of get up into the mountains, and you said it's kind of an average 4% gradient, Whereabouts in the kind of bike leg can people will people start to feel like the wall? Where would you kind of expect people to do that, and how can they kind of mentally push themselves through with nutrition and mental stuff?
Well, mentally and time wise, I can tell you that the 70-kilometer mark, where you come on top of the Col de l'Ecre, that's for us, that's halfway in terms of time. So you can see in terms of kilometers, it's not the halfway mark, but in terms of time, that's the halfway. That's also the place where you will be able to pick up your special needs bag. Yeah. And mentally you would think, okay, I survived, I'm on top of Col de l'Ecre, so from here on it will go down, and it's going to be easier. But that's not really the case, because you stay a little bit on top there. You stay on the, how do you call that in English, plateau? So you stay there for a little while, then you go a little bit down, but then it's always up and down until you hit the backside of the Col de Vence. And that's where you have that out and back. You see that part? You have an out and back.
Yeah.
So just before that, you hit another climb, and that out and back is also a false flat. So it's not that easy.
Mm-hmm. So time wise, getting up to that 70 km mark, you're I'm taking a guess then that is probably includes the more tougher climbs.
Yeah. That's all up. In fact, if you look at the profile, except for a couple of downhills, that's mostly up. So you see 70-kilometer mostly up. You reach like 1100 meters of altitude, and you start at sea level. So that's the part of the course where you climb the most.
Cool. And have you got like obviously, don't want to go into too much detail around your kind of racing plan, but do you have do you always kind of before a race set yourself like power targets, speed targets, things like that, or do you kind of see how you feel?
Both. I check my power, but in the end, it's always the feeling of the day, the circumstances of the race. Sometimes you're alone, sometimes you're in a group, sometimes you don't feel good, sometimes you feel really good in the beginning. So it's hard to say before the start, I will do it like this or like that. But it's true that you have kind of numbers in your head, and you know what you're able to hit or what you're able to go for a long time. So that's how we do it.
Cool. And obviously with an Ironman, we do have to run a marathon afterwards, which is the piece actually that actually gets the most conversation. Like when I tell people about it and talk to people about it, they're like, so you have to get off the bike and then run a marathon. Which is amazing. So like where in the bike leg do you kind of do you do anything like, do you start to feel with your legs, do anything special with the bike, kind of increase cadence, decrease kind of the, how strong you're cycling? Where do you kind of start to think, okay, in a matter of X minutes, I've got to get off this bike and run a marathon?
Well, that's also a mental game. I always try to make myself believe that I'm really looking forward to put my bike aside and to run, so a little bit of creating a feeling that I want to get rid of that bike. And the other thing in Nice is that from the let's say 120-kilometer mark, it's all going down. And then you hit again that last 20-kilometer part that is all flat. So mostly from kilometer 20 to kilometer 10, you have a headwind. And then along the coast, depends, it's a little bit of crosswind, but that's okay. So don't underestimate those last 20 kilometers, because most of the people think, okay, we are down, it's only flat, it's only 20 kilometers now to the start of the marathon, but it's still quite hard. So in that last 20 kilometers, I concentrate on nutrition, try to drink as much as I can, and really mentally and physically you prepare for the marathon in that last 20 kilometers.
So your hydration in that last kind of pieces is kind of quite important to you then? Just making sure.
It's important from the beginning, but especially in those last 20 kilometers, you cannot block the thought of the marathon that is coming. So you pay a little bit more attention to that, and according to your feeling or sensations, you can drink a little bit more or take some more sugars. Depends on how you feel, of course.
Cool. And then it's back into Nice for this the transition into our 4-loop run course. Let me just jump onto that piece. Find it. So so this one is a 4-loop 10K or just over 10K.
10.5, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about this run course. What makes it great? You know, do you love this run course? Do you hate this run course? How is it?
I love it. It's quite a fast one. I did most of my fast marathon times are on this course. It's totally flat, so it's just an out and back. And the other thing, what helps a lot is the spectators, especially the second part of the marathon. So when a lot of people are along the run course, it's crazy. So it's only a 5-kilometer stretch, but I can tell you that along those 5 kilometers, you never have a stretch where there's nobody. And in some other Ironman, you can have stretches where there's nobody really watching or cheering for you. But in this one, there's no way that there's always somebody cheering you on. So I think that's really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So we come out of transition with this bike. We drop the bike off, running up, out and back. Is there anything specific that you would recommend doing for the first kind of loop? Obviously, in break training, that is kind of the bit where your legs are feeling like they aren't there. Is, you know, obviously people often pick a pace that they want to kind of retain. Would you suggest kind of starting off slow and then building it up, or kind of going straight for your target pace?
That's also something that will depend on the day, but something that is really, let's say, dangerous in Nice is the first kilometer, because it's a little bit going down. It's not much, but it's running easy. You know, the first kilometer is really easy. And the first kilometer is also the part where there's most spectators, where the DJ is playing, where there's music, where the atmosphere is just amazing. And the tricky part of it is that the first kilometer you would go too hard because of all that. So pay attention when you start to run, especially the first 2 kilometers even. Give yourself the time to find your pace, and don't overdo it in the beginning.
And then nutritional run, obviously important to keep yourself hydrated, make sure you've got enough electrolytes and sugars kind of flowing through your body. Have you ever had any kind of bad blunders on the nutrition on the run?
Yes, and that's mostly because you didn't pay enough attention, or you didn't take enough on the bike. So everything that you experience nutrition-wise on the marathon is always like something that happened on the bike already. So there's 8 stations every mile. So there's plenty of aid stations in Nice. You even have a couple of showers in Nice where you have to run under, so to cool down. And then the special needs bag is halfway the course. And in fact, you can pick it up in the first loop, the second loop, third loop, or even in the last loop, as you prefer. So, but once you picked it up, it's over. So
yeah. So I've noticed that that a couple of the pro athletes are starting to carry things more with them. Either ice, sponges, their bottle, special needs bottle. Do you do anything like that, or do you kind of just like, you know, take it and get back on with the run?
Yeah, in Nice you don't have ice cubes, so the only thing you will find is sponges, cold water, and the showers, like I told you. But then, like when I'm racing Hawaii, I'm always taking like ice cubes in my hat, or put some ice cubes around my neck or something. So it's important to try to keep your body temperature as low as you can. And there's a couple of things you can do, of course. So depending on your preferences.
Cool, perfect. Well, that's epic. So, obviously running down that finish line, then that must be an amazing feeling for you winning it. You know, for obviously for most of the age groupers, it's the goal of the day is finishing.
Yeah.
This race. If you know, what can you describe kind of what that finish shoot is like, and you know, doesn't he stand out in terms of finish shoots?
Yeah, and definitely that's what I wanted to say. It's like 100-meter long, and you will see when you look at pictures or when you look at videos, there's always plenty of people. So it's really something. Yeah, everyone has the experience. He's the champion of the day. So it's from when I finished to the last people that come over the finish line. It's always crowded. There's always a good atmosphere, a DJ that is announcing everyone. So it's really one of the best ones to finish there. Yeah.
Nice. I'm just gonna jump off screen share 2 ticks. Sweet. So the obviously this year is coming up in June 30th. Did I see on your Instagram that are you still cycling with Cervelo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're rocking. Is it the P5 that you're racing with still?
Yeah.
Do you like why do you like that bike so much?
Well, to come back to the race in Nice, the first 2 times I did it on a road bike, and then the third time I did it on a time trial bike. And I can tell you, in my opinion and in my experience, it's a lot faster with a time trial bike. So yeah, in the beginning years of the Ironman Nice, everybody thought, yeah, it's a hilly course, we'll do it with a road bike. But I can tell you, on the flat sections, on the downhills, it's a lot faster with a TT bike. So there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Perfect. And so I've just got a couple more questions just to ease my just some probably more general fan questions, really. Obviously, with Kona, you know, being a world champion in 2013, where did that take you mentally? Like, how did that feel, and what happened next? Because that must have been a crazy point of your career.
Yeah, of course. When you're racing for that long, and then you win the world championship at the age of 34, you're not the youngest one, but it's like the reward of all the years you trained hard for it, and then finally you can become world champion. It was a great feeling. It's something I will never forget, and it's something that still counts right now. So yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I went to Mexico to race a 70.3. You still get bib number 1 because that's only because I won Hawaii in 2013. So my mental, the lady I work with for my mental preparation tells me it's like a balloon you're carrying. So it's always there, and you don't have to try to put it away. It's there. So it has a lot of positive things. Of course, next to it, there's some pressure, and there's some how do we say? Yeah, people expect things from you, of course, but that's a good thing to have. And yeah, I'm really still proud of it, and still really love it. And yeah.
I think that when you win Ironman France next, so we have to get the wording right. You will have the record for the most number of wins in France. Is that right? I think is it currently at 5?
It's currently a 5, but I'm still sharing it with Spanish Marcel Zamora.
Okay.
So when I will be, or if I can win for a 6th time, then I'm the one who carries the record.
The record holder, which probably stand for a long time. Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Fredrik.
My pleasure.
To kind of run through the course, and hopefully everyone who's watching this and who is contemplating or is either doing Ironman Nice can get some value from it, and hopefully when they see Fred at Ironman Nice, go and make sure you take lots of pictures with him and share
it. I can tell you that the ones who chose to race France did a really good choice. It's a fantastic race, so they will love it.
Everyone I speak to says that. They say it's like one of the best they've ever done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for that.
Thank you.
I'll just stop the broadcast.